And they were like, oh, just tell him to do some coke. I'm like, that is not a solution.
And that really surprises me, though, that it didn't get to, like, she didn't bring it to the point of, like, you really need to look at things here. Not to say that, I want to be careful how I say this. You don't want to be like, oh, fuck that. You got to abandon a drug addict if it's someone you're in love with. Because we all know addiction's a horrible thing.
Yes.
And, hate seeing people deal with that. But at the same time, when it's someone who already has maybe some predisposed patterns, who is now also doing that and making parts of your life an unnecessarily living hell. And this is someone that you also at one point there end up having kids with.
That's right.
Now they can get caught in the middle of it.
That's right. That's right. No, listen, I am not the type of therapist that she was, but I think it was a different time, a different era. And I still am grateful to her because I don't know if I would be alive. You
don't know if you'd be alive?
No. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I could have gotten more into drugs, or I don't know. I just think she really helped keep me grounded.
So you don't mean it necessarily in the way that, like, if you hadn't talked with her, you would have just been suicidal all the time.
No,
it's more your life could have gone.
Yeah, my life could have gone really
off the rails.
Yeah, which it did. Which it did go off the rails, but
not you personally.
Exactly.
You were able to maintain yourself.
Exactly.
Your life went off the rails because
right.
he went off the rails.
That's right.
There's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference, right?
Because, like, I feel horrible when I see those situations where, like, you have a horrible domestic situation, and when I say life goes off the rails, it really goes off the rails for both of them. I've seen it before. I've seen it in my own family and stuff where, there's the abuser, and then the abusee ends up getting caught up in drugs or something else and losing themselves. And I have such empathy for that because I'm like, I don't know. I'm also a guy. I don't know how I deal with that as a woman, right?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, like, feeling trapped like that. Almost like you're, like, at some point, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but at some point, like, when you're in that type of situation where you're recognizing, like, this is toxic.
Yeah.
Does it, I know you're living in a mansion and, like, your bank account looks okay, but does it feel like you're imprisoned?
Yes. It feels like you're trapped.
Yeah.
Trapped in a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
But so you get this therapist right away. There was something in you that's like...
something in me knew. This is crazy, yeah.
But marriage felt okay. Things, I don't want to say normal, but you were in love.
Yeah, we were in love, and there was a lot of great moments. We had so many great moments with friends coming over, so many great trips. And then, of course, babies come, and they're so adorable and beautiful. But along the way, he's just dominating and doing drugs. And you have to remember, he leaves Stratton after a year, really, after I meet him.
Yeah, what's the story? What's the backstory there? Because he left, but didn't he come back?
Well, the movie isn't accurate. So he leaves. He gets a small fine, like $100,000, a slap on the wrist, and he leaves. But then he starts to control it all from home.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and then he starts to set up satellite offices.
I feel like the SEC doesn't like that.
No, I don't think so.
So he gets that early, though. He gets $100,000. Is that where a light bulb goes off where you're like, maybe some of these things I'm hearing?
Yeah. So, and he was upset about that, rightly so. Rightly so, because he loves to work. He's a workaholic even to today. But he, you have to remember when you have that sort of personality, that grandiose personality, nobody's going to tell him what to do.
Mm-mm.
No.
Especially not you. He's going to tell you what to do.
Especially not me.
Did you call him out on that? I don't want to say call him out, but did you say to him, like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, I think I was actually really just very empathetic towards him. And like, he was so sad and devastated. And I think that was more my stance with him.
But when he gets pulled from there, before he starts setting up some satellites and stuff, I can imagine as someone who was already predisposed to being addicted to Quaaludes and a good time, that was not necessarily, like, him having idle hands is not good for him.
No, was not good. No, that's a good point.
So at that time, is that when you're like, all right, this is not going to get better?
Yeah, well, then the drug addiction just gets, like it is, like the way it is. It's a progressive disease.
Right.
Right. Either you stop or it gets worse.
And you're having kids, I would imagine, around the same time you're starting to have kids.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I don't have kids yet. Look forward to doing that, but some of my friends are starting to have kids right now, and obviously I've seen it throughout my life, you know, with family and things like that. It's like there's something, and this is a really good thing, that changes you when you have a
Yes.
kid, where you're like,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I'm responsible for
Yeah.
this little life. Sure.
But and it does seem to me like he really does love his kids a lot.
For sure.
Right? Okay. But at the time, like, do you think he could appreciate the gravity of that, or was it more like, oh, cool, I'm having kids, and he's just kind of his own worst enemy?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more like that. I think he's just, that addiction at that level, that's all you could see. That's all he could do. And he has nobody telling him what to do. He has all the money in the world, right? Doctors will give him whatever he wants.
Oh yeah, because he's like getting prescriptions for all this stuff. Oh my God.
Nobody says no to him, right? So, and then he just has so much power over everybody. Everybody's kissing his ass, and the answer was, when I was like, guys, he can't go out. Like, I would stay home with him. I would leave him at home. I would tell him not to do it. We'd get into fights. When you're dealing with addiction, which I had never dealt with before, nothing works. And they were like, oh, just tell him to do some coke. I'm like, that is not a solution.
Bring him back up.
Yeah, bring him back up. And so the coke was really what did him in. The coke was really what did him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of par for the course with Wall Street and
Yeah.
stereotypes, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And that's when it got really bad. And I was like, okay, this is done.
Did you confide in other people besides your therapist? Like, are you
Sure.
talking to your mom about this
Yeah, I'm
a
talking
little
to
bit?
well, he would be stoned at family dinners.
Oh, yeah, that's not great.
So I have a funny story where I talk about this in a TikTok where, again, because I'm just a nerd, I converted to be Jewish, okay, because his mom, I love his mom. And so,
Are you still Jewish today?
well, yeah, but I mean converted, so I'm still Jewish, right? Even though I'm wearing a cross. So
That's why I'm asking.
yeah. So I cook all this, like I make matzo ball soup from scratch. I make gefilte fish from scratch, and I set the table beautifully with Christoffel china and puifakat silver and these linens. And so I set it always for everybody. Everybody comes, and we're all sitting around the table. I guess it was probably Rosh Hashanah. And, he sits down and he's like, this is delicious. And I'm like, I am going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. And I go into his office and I find the bag of Quaaludes and I'm like, that's it. And I take them and I steal them.
Oh, no.
While he's at the table. No, but you have to remember, so my mother's there, his parents are there, everybody's seeing this. But his brother's there. And so the next day,
But no one's saying anything.
but
They're
nobody's
just-
saying anything, right? And that's the unfortunate part. But again, you can't control a drug addict.
No.
It's so then the next day I'm giving my daughter some yogurt in his office and he's like, what are my Quaaludes? What are my Quaaludes? Who took my Quaaludes? I know my brother took my Quaaludes. And I'm just giving her yogurt like, And I just kept him for like 6 months.
Oh, he didn't even know.
No, he got more. But
I'll bet he did.
Yeah.
Went right down to the doctor's office.
right, exactly. So, but I mean, that's the level of how much it was in our lives.
Wow. So in front of family too, but like you still love the guy, like you're
Yes,
still extremely
I'm still
drawn
in love
to him
with
at the
him.
time.
Yeah, and I have empathy for him, and I want to fix him and save him, which I know that's not possible now as a grown woman, but I had this childlike belief.
So you don't think it's possible to fix or save someone? I think I agree with you on that. Like it has to be
come
something that
from
comes
them.
internal.
Yeah, it has to come from them.
But do you think it's possible to help people
Yes,
guide
of
themselves
course.
to get that?
Yes. But usually with a drug addict at his level, he had to hit rock bottom, which, he finally did stop doing drugs because I confronted him and that's when our whole life got violent.
Oh, it got violent when he stopped doing drugs.
No, it got, so in the movie they show the scene of me saying to him, you're never going to see your kids. And then he punches me, right?
Yeah.
I never said that. I mean, you're meeting me now. Do I seem like somebody that would say that?
I don't think so. I
No.
haven't seen the Brooklyn come out though.
No,
So.
I wouldn't say that. So, but I did say to him, and this isn't in the movie, He's probably in the book, though. I say to him, if you don't go to rehab, I'm leaving you. I'm not going to sit here and watch you kill yourself. All these sycophants that you have, they're all just going to suck off the money and watch you kill yourself.
Is he, at this point, is he back at Stratton?
No, he's still, he never goes back to Stratton. He's just controlling everything from behind.
Okay, so just for context, they changed the timeline then
They
in the
do.
movie.
They changed the timeline. Yeah. He never does that whole scene where, I'm not going back.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, I'm not fucking leaving. Yeah.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Damn it.
I know. Or maybe it
Hey,
did.
between you and me, it did.
Maybe it did.
'Cause
I don't know.
I need that in my life.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a good scene.
It's a great scene. And so, but he doesn't, so what happens is that he's home and I just say that to him, but he's still running business, right? So it's not like he's still running big deals and whatever he does, he does. And that's when he went crazy and threw all my clothing and jewelry and lit them on fire.
Oh, he lit him on fire.
In the fireplace. And he starts screaming at me obscenities that I won't even say on this podcast. And
it is in New Jersey. You can.
No, it's not. It's just calling me a gold digger, you fucking whore, like just going off on me, just horrible, terrible things. Yeah. And I go into my closet and I say, God, give me the strength to do this. Like, I have to do this. Our life is terrible. He's cooking crack in my country kitchen at this point.
Oh, he's cooking crack.
Okay. So that was like the end. And so that didn't last long. And I actually go to my mother's for the night. And I leave my children with my housekeeper. I know they're fine. And I come back and he says to me, I'm chartered a private plane. I'm taking our daughter to Florida. Now, he's high on coke. And I'm like, no, you're not. You think you're taking our daughter to Florida? No, you're not.
How old's your daughter? Like 3?
3.
Yeah.
And 2.5. And so my mother was so smart. And this is when my mother comes in. She says, you have to call the police and tell them you're going home to a domestic violence situation. So I do that before I go home. And then he tells me he's taking my daughter. And I chase him up the stairs. And he kicks me in my solar plexus down the stairs while he's holding my daughter. Now, luckily, I was 31 at the time. I was in crazy shape. And I run up the stairs and I can't even say so I dial 911, but I hang it up right away because I don't even have time to talk because I got to get him, right? And my security guard and housekeeper are just watching him take her.
They're not doing anything.
They're not helping. And so so that's like the scene in the garage. So I go, he puts her in the car. I jump in the car and I say to another housekeeper who's in the house, I say, close the garage. She closes the garage. And so he drives us into the garage door. And I'm like, okay, we're in trouble. Like, he's going to kill me, I think. I'm like, he's lost his mind. This is not the Jordan that I met and married. Drugs has taken over. But luckily, because I had called 911, as soon as I said to my housekeeper, take Chandler to the back, took my daughter to the back, and then the police came and he got arrested. And then he did go to rehab and get sober.
But had you made up your mind at this point, I'm leaving this guy?
I had, yeah. Yeah. But then he got sober for us. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay with him. But at that point, there'd been so much damage to our relationship.
Did you still love him?
I don't know if love was the word. I think that the thing about emotional abuse and verbal abuse is we call it death by 1,000 cuts, right? That went on, and the power, the domination went on through my whole marriage. But there is something about being physically harmed that feels real.
Yeah.
Even though the other stuff I think could have been worse, actually. But that's a very defining moment, at least it was for me. And because now I'm like, you're dangerous. Like, I'm not safe with you.
And you weren't writing him off as like, well, this isn't you because you're high on drugs. You're saying this is just what you become.
Yeah, this is what you become.
Yeah.
This is what you've become. If you can behave like this is outrageous. I mean, you have to remember, I grew up in a home, there was no yelling.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I have no point of reference for this. And so he did come back for a year. And then a year later, he got arrested, and that's when I left.
Now, you had said a little while ago that you didn't think anything was wrong at first, but over the years you would hear some things and then you would think some stuff is wrong.
Yes.
What, first of all, like, what did you mentioned your mom taped
Right. Right. So
$750,000.
that's like, okay, something, why are you
Yeah.
having to do that to do that?
Right.
Right. So, but I still don't, I don't understand what he's doing because I don't want to understand. And B, what am I going to do?
But he gets arrested long after he technically left Stratton Oakmont.
Yeah, years and years.
But you said he was like still running the place almost like with shell companies on the back end. Were his charges based on the stuff he was doing through like the shell companies, or were they based on the stuff he did before he left?
No, I think I don't know, but I know he got arrested on 11 counts, I think, of money laundering.
It sounds right.
I think that's right. So I don't know that. I'm sure had more to do with whatever he did with sending the money to Switzerland.
Right. Okay.
Right. And then I don't know how that worked with all those other companies. But yeah, so then, right. But then also it makes sense when you're doing drugs, you're not making sound decisions.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. You're not
100%.
making sound decisions. So that year he was sober. And
Wait, he comes back to you for a year after this whole event.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're still with him.
Yep, I
He's
still stay
sober.
with him. Yes.
And then it's a full year after that year before he gets arrested, but he's sober for this year. So then
Yes.
it ends. He stops being sober.
No, he's sober the whole year.
The first year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he gets arrested.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, he gets arrested. And then I'm like, that's it, I'm out. Because he can't hurt me anymore. He can't control me anymore, right? So what happens in a trauma bond, there's a power imbalance. So what happened was that now the power imbalance shifted.
Yeah. You have the leverage.
Yeah. He can't have power over me because now he's got to deal with the FBI. And you have to remember when you're married to somebody who has a lot of power like that, he could say, I'm the drug addict. Right? People pay off judges.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we live in a real world, and who's going to listen to me, really?
So when he comes back and is sober, he had been physical with you, so you're not in love with him at this point. And this is obviously before he gets arrested. Like, is this the part where it feels like you're trapped because now you don't have, I don't mean to say it like this, but you don't have the excuse of him being on drugs, so he's like around and he's somewhat normal, but you, like, the mask is off and you're like, this guy's a megalomaniacal narcissist and he ain't getting better.
Yeah, I didn't use those words. I didn't know those terms at all, but I think it was more for me that was so hurt. Like the love was just shredded time and time and time and time. So I just fell out of love. If somebody's abusive and mean to you long enough, love leaves.
Your kids, do you think, were they young enough that like enough of this kind of went right over their head?
Yeah, they didn't really.
That's good.
Yeah. My daughter remembers that one day, but no, they don't remember any of it. Thank God.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
So the feds come in, they arrest them. You're not shocked, I guess, but the veracity, like I guess the depth of what they were arresting him for, was any of that like a surprise? Because it was a lot. I mean,
yeah. Again, they come and he's already arrested. I think I had left to get my son's blanket from a friend's house, and so they come and they tell me, your husband's been arrested for this many things, and they're like, for money laundering. Do you know what that is? I said, yeah, it's like what the mob does. Like, that's what I knew money laundering to be.
Yeah.
Like, well, not really, blah, blah, blah. And then the hard part there was that they took him away and I was left with the FBI for 4 hours by myself without an attorney.
are they like questioning you?
Yeah, they're questioning me. Yeah. They knew I wasn't the mastermind. But, they knew that
That's good.
Yeah, they knew it wasn't me. But what I was always angry about was that he should have said to me, if this ever goes down, this is who you call. And he never did.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.